Welcome back to Sportsline, everybody. Jon Burton with you for the next half hour or so, taking you up to the top of the hour. Your phone calls welcome. 737-7767 is the number to call. Of course, that's area code 615. Give me your thoughts on tomorrow night's Titans game against the Jaguars, what you've seen from the Titans so far, and also would you like to see the Titans try to trade for Jalen Ramsey, the Nashville native, of course, the all-pro cornerback who wants out of Jacksonville, requested a trade and went public with his desire to be traded. So all that is on the table. But first, despite last week's disappointing loss by the Titans at home to the Colts, it was a very special day as two of the team's all-time great legends were honored with the ultimate honor. Both Steve McNair, the late great Steve McNair, and of course running back Eddie George, both having their numbers retired together in a special halftime ceremony at Nissan Stadium during the game. So no other Tennessee Titans player will wear the number 9 or the number 27 ever again. Last week, Eddie George stopped by our studios here at NewsChannel 5. I was able to sit down with the Titans legend to get his thoughts on getting his number retired, and of course his good friend and teammate Steve McNair. Enjoy. Eddie, you've had a lot of accolades in your football career. Of course, the Heisman Trophy at Ohio State. You've gone back to Columbus many times to be honored. What does it mean to have your professional jersey retired by the Tennessee Titans?
Well, first off, it means a lot for me to have my jersey retired. I think only 153 players have had their numbers retired in the history of the NFL, and we're going on 100 years. That's rarefied air, pun intended,
right.
with Steve.
Right.
So, but to be recognized in this fashion, to have Amy Adams Strunk to pull the trigger on it, really create this day, for her to reach back and to say, hey, we want to recognize you and Steve together, is remarkable. She could have separated us two and got, you know, more fanfare, more mileage out of this deal by giving each of us our own day. But it was only fitting because Steve and I are always linked. We've always shared the spotlight. We shared the team. It was not Steve's team. It wasn't my team. It was our team. And that's the one thing that was really special about those teams of that era, is that it was the spirit and it was about the relationships. We cultivated those relationships. We worked on those relationships because that was a secret sauce to our success, was that we fought and cared for one another and we encouraged one another, and we were there for one another. So that to me, it means a lot to be able to have my number retired with my man.
Yeah, you two were inseparable. I mean, and it seemed like you two put it upon yourselves, hey, we have to set the tone for this team. We're the leaders. As we go, so goes this team. Did you guys kind of have that collective mindset, you and Steve?
Without a doubt. Yeah. Again, we were different. We weren't the greatest of friends, but we were very close in terms of teammates. He would do his thing in terms of going to his farm in Mississippi and going fishing and eating cheeseburgers and having beers and doing this thing. And you know, he would catch catfish barehanded and all that. I was like, that ain't me. I'm not touching that. But when we got together, it was a powerful duo.
How bittersweet is it that you're sharing this day with Steve, but you know, Steve's not here?
You know, it saddens me that he can't experience this in the human form, you know, to experience the love. But where there's love, there's Steve. Yeah. You know, and we don't know beyond the physical form what's beyond the unknown. But I believe in the spiritual realm. I believe in the supernatural. I believe in God, and I believe that he's very much a part of this. Because he's always operated out of love, and that's what this week is all about. In a nutshell, is the appreciation, the love that we got from the fans, the appreciation, the love that we have for the fans, for our loved ones, for our families. It's all there. So he's very much a part of this in a much greater way. He might have orchestrated all of this. Knowing Steve, he's had some magical moments, you know, and orchestrated some great drives. So who knows? But I'm saddened that I wish he could be here so I can physically see with my eyes. But he's a part of this. I know he is.
Everybody knows what you guys went through, you know, starting off in Houston, then going to Memphis, then coming to Nashville, Music City Miracle, 1 yard short in the Super Bowl, all of that. But when this thing really got going here in Nashville, how much fun was it to play at home in front of those fans?
It was awesome. I mean, I don't remember recently hearing the stadium loud like that ever. It was extremely loud. It was raucous. It was fun. It was exciting. It was new to Nashville to have their own team, to call us the Tennessee Titans and rid the Oilers and divorce ourselves from that. It was they truly embraced us as a Tennessee's team, their own. And they were on fire for us, man. And we wanted to continue to have that success by not only having 5 people in the stands and warm-ups. You know, that was old. You know, it was 3 years of that.
Yeah.
But when we finally saw a packed house, and while we're warming up, we said, listen, we can't lose this. We gotta win. This is our home field advantage. Yeah. And it was. You know, it got so loud in there, they thought that we were pumping sound into the stadium. And it was truly a home field advantage. And I pray that it gets back to that, so this generation of Titans can experience what we experienced in the early part of the 90s.
Talked to a lot of the leaders on this year's Titans team, guys like Delaney Walker, Kevin Byard, and they all said the same thing. Eddie George and Steve McNair paved the way so that we can be here and we can be leaders for this team. How good does that make you feel to hear that?
It feels really good. You know, now that I'm an old guy, out of the league for 20-something years, and you know, you tend to think that guys don't remember you, or like, who is this dude walking around here trying to be cool? Or, but for Delaney Walker and Kevin to recognize that. I appreciate that, and I receive that, because it goes a long way. And I want those guys to understand that we watch and we care, you know, about what you're doing beyond us. You know, we've laid a foundation. Now they're building their part of the dynasty and how that looks, and we care about, you know, what you're doing with that. You know, there's no dissension, there's no envious spirits or jealousy, like, oh, these guys are not going to do anything. We want them to be successful, because if they're successful, we all shine. So it's important for them to understand the history of what this means, what that logo means on the side of their helmets. It's not just a flame with the T and 3 stars.
Right.
There was blood, sweat, tears, dedication, hard work. This man sacrificed his body for it. I sacrificed my body for it.
Right.
And we want those guys to understand that when you're part of a Titan family, it's forever. And there's some pride associated with that.
You know, it's funny, because when I look back at your career, you know, after you win the Heisman at Ohio State, you know, at that time in the mid to late 90s, there were a lot of so-called Heisman busts out there, and you seemed like a guy, you were determined not to be a Heisman bust. Like you know, you always showed up ready to go, in shape, you ran hard no matter what. I mean, was that a mindset for you coming into the league out of college after you won the Heisman Trophy?
Well, when I came out with the Heisman, they all tried to say, well, you'd be a Heisman Trophy bust, this and that. So does it put any pressure on you? I said, the only pressure the Heisman is on the mantle that it sits on. That's the pressure that it sits on. And I left it there. And I just really focused on the next level of being the best player I could be, the best running back I could be, and focus on that, than rather focus on what people were saying and try to fulfill their opinions, because their expectations can never, ever exceed my own expectations of myself. So I knew the levels that I knew what I wanted to accomplish. I knew what I could accomplish. So what their expectations of me were, it didn't even matter, because it already superseded that.
If you could describe your career in one word, what would it be?
That's a new question. If I could describe my career in one word, I guess miraculous. It was a miracle. I think it was, because every step of the way, it was one miracle after the other. I wasn't highly recruited. I had some mishaps. I was going down the wrong path. My mother made a hard decision to send me to Fort Union Military Academy. It was miraculous how I got to Ohio State through a lieutenant that was a trainer at Ohio State, and forced his hand to show the national recruiting coordinator my tapes. And he found me like a diamond in the rough. It was miraculous that I got to Ohio State and fumbled twice twice against Illinois after having some success against Syracuse the week before, to sit the bench for 2 years and not regarded as the worst running back in Ohio State history. It was miraculous that I won the Heisman, and so forth and so forth. So it was my faith in God. It was the faith and belief in myself, and I had a unwavering support of my family, and so I would describe it as that.
Last question for you. What do you think Steve would say if he were here now? How do you think he would react to having his jersey retired, number one, and having his jersey retired alongside you, number two?
Well, he would say he's honored. It's unexpected. I know that Steve didn't feel the appreciation. He didn't voice this, but I know he didn't feel the appreciation at times, especially being an African-American quarterback at that particular time. He was one of the pioneers to have success. So he was a major breakthrough in that regard. This is another great achievement on his behalf of being a co-MVP in 2003. But more importantly, I think he'd want to say that he was a great man, with man of the people, great father, loving husband. We all have our flaws, and he wants that to be recognized, that he was a constant man. He was a man that was at work on self-development. And he's, I know that he's proud of his sons and the legacy that he left behind for them of what to do and what not to do. So there's wisdom in everything.
Eddie, I know Titans fans still love you, and they still love Steve, and they still think about the great days of Titans football. Let me be among the many to say congratulations on getting your jersey retired.
Thank you.
Well deserved.
Appreciate it.
There he is, Eddie George, the Titans legend, getting his jersey retired this past weekend by the franchise. No one will ever wear the number 27 as a Tennessee Titan ever again. Same for number 9 and the late, great Steve McNair. Those two guys synonymous with the early success of the Tennessee Titans. It was no better of an expert than Rhett Bryan, who was on our show earlier, that said that those two are Generation 1 Tennessee Titans. And the new generation is going to try and get a win tomorrow night in Jacksonville. When we come back, we're going to hear from defensive coordinator Dean Pease as he tries to figure out how to stop a guy by the name of Minshew, the new quarterback, and of course the great running back Leonard Fournette of the Jaguars from LSU. Dean Pease, defensive coordinator for the Tennessee Titans, when we come back here on Sportsline.